Well, good morning. My name is Jonathan Summers. I'm the president of Hunter Park Business Council, and welcome to Ward 2 Candidate Forum. This beautiful facility, Mr. Gordon Burrows, I would love to start off by having Mr. Morris say a couple of words.
Well, welcome to the Borns Technology Center. I'm the chairman and CEO of Borns Incorporated. My parents, Marlon and Rosemary Borns, started our company in 1947 in a garage in Pasadena. And they were making sensors for the aircraft industry to tell the pilots what the position of the rudder is, the elevator, the flight angle, acceleration, altitude, things like that. And doing it in their garage. So when companies like Lockheed and Boeing came over to see where their sensors were being made, they were surprised that they were being made in the garage. My mother was testing them in the oven and in the freezer to make sure that that would pass the hot and cold temperature testing. But just 20 years later, after they moved out of their garage, they here in Riverside watched as the astronauts landed on the moon using the landing control made by Borns here in Riverside to land the lunar module on the surface of the moon. And as the astronauts walked on the moon, they were their oxygen was being controlled by pressure regulators that controlled the oxygen they breathed and also the top and the bottom of their suits too. So we often have students come here and I give them tours of the replica of the garage in our courtyard, and I tell them, if they have really good ideas and work together as a team, they can go from a garage to the moon in 20 years. And so today, our biggest market is the automotive industry. And we make steering position sensors, brake wear sensors, a lot of the controls and the electronics in Tesla. In fact, Tesla is our biggest customer. So that's quite a transition from the aircraft industry. We hardly do anything in the aircraft industry now, but a lot of the technology in the automobiles is probably at least as advanced as they use in the aerospace industry. So this is the Borns Technology Center. And in fact, I should have said in the beginning, Borns came to Riverside in 1950. So this is I think this year is our 75th anniversary of being in Riverside. Next year is our company's 80th anniversary. And we are here because the Riverside Chamber of Commerce and the mayor and city council brought my parents here. In fact, they moved all of the equipment from the garage here on one single flatbed truck. And so this has remained our company headquarters. And in fact, we're putting $10 million into our facility here to upgrade it to our main research and development center to keep developing new products. And interestingly, one of our main focuses is to make this a great center for interns to learn. Last year, we had 10 interns here, everything from engineering to IT to finance. And so that's a high priority, is to have local students, UCR, Cal Baptist, Cal State San Bernardino, come serve as interns and then fill our positions that will help us keep growing too. And one of our core values we learned from a company in China, and that is that they're in their 5th generation, and we were in a conference with them over in Cambridge, and their core value is to survive for 1,000 years. Wow. And so we thought that's a good vision to just make sure that we're thinking long term. So that's one of our core values too, is that we want to continue to serve our customers worldwide and thrive for 1,000 years. So welcome to the Borns Technology Center. In fact, this is the result of an investment by Borns about 10 years ago in Cornerstone Church. Convert this building, used to be basically a warehouse, to a Class A facility for conferences. So our auditorium can seat about 850 people. And fortunately, we have parking spaces for about 950 cars, which makes it very convenient. So just this last Thursday, we had a great program with Riverside Unified School District, and it was Ignite Her Mind. And we had 250 8th grade girls here who are going to be transitioning into high school this next year, and we wanted to get the message to them that STEM is a great opportunity for them, but they really need to take a lot of math, advanced math, to do that. Welcome to the Warren's Technology Center. We're pleased to be your host today.
All right, well, let's let the forum begin. I'd like to introduce Mr. Angel Sanchez.
We're good, we're working. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I want to thank everyone for joining us for today's candidate forum for Ward 2 with candidates for Riverside City Council. And before I begin, I would like to introduce the candidates taking part in today's forum. So Aram Ayra, I totally butchered your name.
No, you actually
Did I say it right?
You got it right.
All right, Dan Florez, Christen Montero, Gracie Torres, and Mike Vahl. All right, out of respect for our speakers, I would ask that all cell phones be silenced. So go ahead and take them out. I'll give you a moment to turn them down. And we also ask that you do not record this forum. As you can see, that's being done already, and so you'll have the opportunity to see that later. Please do not distract the candidates or interrupt their comments. Each candidate will be allowed 30 seconds for opening and closing statements, and 90 seconds during the question and answer period. Candidates, you will be timed, and Karina there has a yellow signal that she will show you when you have 30 seconds left of time remaining for your opening statements. And when your time is up, you get the big red sign. And I will say, not that being competitive is a great thing, but being competitive, the other candidate forum, they all stayed within time. So I'm throwing that out for you guys. Let's begin with our opening statements and ascend in order by last name. So Mr. Ayra, if you can give us your opening statement.
And it's 90 seconds for all responses. Just make sure you I was really thinking like 30 seconds.
Oh, did I say 30?
Yeah,
I'm trying to keep it on time. 90 seconds, my apologies.
awesome. I'll step. It's cool. Morning, everybody. My name is Aram Ayra. I'm a candidate for Riverside City Council Ward 2. I'm a city commissioner, educator, nonprofit director over at Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Inland Empire, and a resident of Ward 2 for a little over 12 years now. I moved to Riverside to go to school at UCR, did my bachelor's and my master's degree there. And unlike a lot of my graduating cohort, I decided to stay in Riverside because it offered me the opportunity and the affordability that I didn't have growing up back home. I've been super involved in the city across multiple different roles in neighborhood advocacy, in state and federal representation for the city, bringing nonprofit dollars into our communities, doing everything from getting borough crossings over on Watkins to protect our donkeys to fighting for our fiscal health on the Budget Engagement Commission. I'm fighting to make Riverside an affordable place to live for the people that currently live here and for the people that want to make this place home. For our small businesses, for our working families, I'm specifically fighting for cheaper utility bills for small businesses and working families, for affordable housing and rent relief, and for an investment in childcare because it's the second highest cost behind rent. It's an honor to be here and I'm excited for the forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Florez, 90 seconds.
Hello, my name is Dan Florez. I'm running for Riverside City Council in Ward 2. I have 28 years of law enforcement experience with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. I've had a wide variety of assignments, including internal affairs for 5 years. I supervised the unit. I was a detective, special teams, patrol operations lieutenant in the city of Moreno Valley and in Hemet. For 3 years, I was the administrative lieutenant over the the Ben Clark Training Center for the Sheriff's Academy. I've handled multiple crime scenes ranging from homicide to petty theft, from sexual harassment all the way to officer-involved shootings. Why does that matter? It's because I've actually literally made life and death decisions. That gives me the training, the experience, and the judgment to understand what is happening in our community, how to make these decisions properly, and how to better serve our community. I am running to ensure that we have spending priorities in order to ensure that the first place that the city doesn't come after are the taxpayers who have their hard-earned money spent on sometimes frivolous spending. Let's make sure that all of our taxpayers' dollars are being spent wisely. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Ms. Montero.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Christen Montero. I'm running for Riverside City Council Ward 2 because I am a lifelong resident and we have our innovation district as part of a leading engine here in Riverside. I am not only a business owner, but I grew up here right at Taft Elementary, going to Amelia Earhart, King High School. I know what it's like to live in Riverside. At the same time, I've also served in nonprofits on the board of directors and also for the Filipino Chamber of Commerce. I'm here today to make sure that council members do not see business folks and residents as taxpayers, but as partners in the city. At the same time, we do have a loss in revenue that we're looking at that's coming up, the Measure Z103 revenue that comes in to address public safety that also needs to be addressed. So I'm here to make sure that as we continue to move forward and grow in Riverside, that there's accountability, that we have projects in place to ensure ROI, not just for our residents, but for our business owners as well. So I'm here today to ask for your support and also thank you again for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Ms. Torres.
Good morning. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Bournes, for hosting this wonderful event. I have my introduction ready, but then I started geeking out on everything that Mr. Bournes was talking about. As a scientist, it just is exciting to be here. So thank you. I want to, my name is Gracie Torres and I'm running for Riverside City Council Ward 2. My family moved here in 1990. We've been here ever since. In fact, my mom's first job was at Poly High School. 15 years later, I graduated from Poly High School. And 20 years later from that, my daughter graduated from Poly High School, where my son now attends. My dad started his small business in Riverside. And so my story is not just a Riverside story, it's a small business success story. I've been proud to serve you for the last 8 years as your representative on the board of directors for Western Municipal Water District in Division 2. I've represented this ward. I've served in this ward. My kids are going to school in this ward. And that is why I'm now running. I want to make sure that we have good job creators. And that starts with businesses like where we are here today. We have to address public safety and listen to them when they ask us for help. And lastly, we need to enhance our city services. When someone dials 311, when a developer calls City Hall, we need those issues addressed expeditiously. And so I am now running and I'm hoping that I can earn your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vahl.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike Vahl and I am running for Ward 2 also. Yes. I've lived in Riverside for 35 years. Been living in my house, same house for over 30 years. My kids grew up here. I worked many hundreds and thousands of hours in nonprofits, youth sports activities, all kinds of things in the city of Riverside to help make it a better place. One of the things we need to do is help get the city more business friendly. They've talked about the need for the new fire stations and they want to throw a bunch of new taxes on. If we could make the regulations a little lighter and help businesses become more profitable and maybe some more businesses starting up, it generate enough tax revenue where we wouldn't have to place it on the voters. But that never comes to anybody. We also need to check the, sorry, the guy just distracted me. Anyway, we'll go about that. I had my business is 38 years old. I have worked it out of Riverside for 35 years. Anyway, I would like to help be a part of Riverside, make Riverside a better place, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vahl. At this time, the candidates will answer questions composed by the chamber. Each candidate will have the opportunity to answer the same question within 90 seconds to complete their statement. Once again, you will be given a yellow signal when you have 30 seconds remaining. And of course, when your time is up, the big red light comes up. So the first question is, the city council is considering options for expanding revenue streams. to provide key services needed to support our growing city. What is your position on the proposed tax revenue measure options? And we'll begin with Mr. Flores.
Well, if we're talking about Measure Z, I actually do support its continued expansion, actually, to carry on until beyond 2030 and 2036. The reason is this. The fire chief has told us that it's going to require 84 new firefighters, 2 new stations, and a refurbishing of many of the fire stations that we currently have. I asked him personally, and he said it would cost $285 million to fix all those things right now. And that number continues to skyrocket each and every year. We need to do something right now. Unfortunately, the 5-year plan indicates that all of the Measure Z money for the next 5 years is going to be allocated. We need to reallocate some of that money. Not all of it. I took a look at the budget, and the budget sort of seems to indicate that a lot of the money is going to the proper places, but we need to know how that is being implemented. My feeling is this: we cannot go to the taxpayers and ask them for more money when there are things that we can do to reduce spending in the city and reallocating of funds. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montero.
Yes, so when it comes to taxes, it's used a lot to bring in revenue. So right now we do have our Measure Z. We have a 1% tax. We're looking at bringing a 0.25% tax on the ballot. That's getting brought up on March 6th at the city council meeting. One thing to know is that 103 of that revenue coming in from that 1% tax goes to public safety. So imagine the impact that it hits to all of us, not just businesses, but to the residents in the neighborhoods, because we no longer have that funding in safety. Some of that funding goes to removing encampments in the University Avenue Village areas, and that's where we have a lot of homelessness issues. I know a lot of you are aware of the $21 million project that came in. That's very controversial. When it comes to this tax, that 0.25% additional tax will help to make sure that there's that revenue to help make sure that that public safety is taken care of. At the same time, revenue is important for the city in general, and we are looking at a deficit regardless. So not just looking at increasing 0.25% in business tax, but we need to also make sure that as we look at increasing taxes, that we're treating everybody as partners. So actually having a project list that can be audited, where there's that accountability, there's that ROI for residents and for businesses, so that as projects, taxes get taken out, yes, time's up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Torres.
Thank you for your question. So Ward 2 and Ward 4 are the most susceptible to fires. As I'm knocking on doors and talking to residents, while I've been serving on the water board, the concerns I get the most is that I can't find fire insurance. I can't find home insurance. If you can find an insurance provider to cover you, it's astronomical rates. So our fire department, our public safety officers are telling us what they need. And I am supportive of the expansion and the increase going to the voters and having the voters decide and tell us if they can do that. And that is what is being proposed today. And like I said, our public safety officers has told us what they need, and I'm supportive of getting that on the ballot.
Thank you. Mr. Vahl.
A lot of times, the governments, the state, the city, they put taxes on the ballot for public safety or for the kids, but they run it as a 50% measure so that they can put it in the general fund. And then it becomes, well, now we got money in the general fund, let's go spend it on our new library. Let's go spend it on this and that, and it doesn't go to public safety. If you're gonna put a new tax on the ballot, you need to run it for the 2/3 or 60%, I think it is maybe. Whatever the super majority is locked down. The community colleges, when they have to put a bond on the ballot, they have to list all the buildings that they're gonna use it for. and what the estimated costs are. And they can't vary from that because they'll get sued. The city should do the same thing. I'm tired of these, let's put it in the general fund and then all of a sudden there's no, now we're out of money. It's all allocated. But what's it allocated to? That needs to be some investigation. What are we spending money on? That needs to be investigated. I've spent 25 years as the accounting manager and controller at Canyon Lake. So I'm used to reviewing budgets, looking for cuts, looking for places that we can be more efficient with our tax money. And that's what I'll do as a city council member. Thank you.
Thank you. That's really right.
Thank you for this question. I actually serve on the Budget Engagement Commission. This was a topic of very heated discussion just last week. The reality is that Measure Z is encumbered through 2028. We can't pull from Measure Z additionally over what we're already committed to. In addition to that, the problem that we have is Measure Z revenues are plateauing due to the economic uncertainty, and we don't know we're very cautious about what the revenues will look like in the years to come. We had a lot of discussion about this because passing a tax on voters, especially during such economic uncertainty, such an affordability crisis, is always a tough choice. But the reality is that the fire department has a lot of critical needs that are not addressed. And as someone who lives in Ward 2, which is, as one of the candidates mentioned, a very high-risk fire area, and someone who watched literally the planes dropping flame retardant on the hill, because I was just down the hill from the sugar fire, I know how critical this need is. I'm also aware that we need to find a long-term and sustainable funding strategy for this, so we don't have to keep returning to voters every single time to increase it. We also need to address the Measure Z sunset. That's exactly the language that I sent as the Budget Engagement Commissioner, a recommendation to council. I hope we will support our public safety and fire officials, but I also want to make sure that we're not squeezing voters at a time when affordability crisis. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Ayra. And now for question 2. Hunter Industrial Park is home to many innovative businesses. What do you believe is the largest impediment to new investment and development in Riverside? And what would you do to help overcome this obstacle? And we'll start with Ms. Montero.
All right, so with the industrial park, there's quite a few things that are happening. We have a lack of infrastructure to support the industrial, innovative, new tech companies that want to come out and build. If we have old sewer lines, electric grid that can't fund enough power that tech companies need to be able to manufacture, to thrive, to operate, that's one part of it. There's also the business tax. We have a higher business tax for businesses to actually come in and develop. So when businesses that are large tech companies and they're comparing from a market standpoint, what's more cost effective and easier to develop? Unfortunately, with our industrial Hunter Park area, it's not as easy. It's not as cost effective. So I'd like to make that a lot more streamlined. At the same time, with the industrial Hunter Park, not only is there infrastructure, there's the tax that the businesses get that they can get relief from developing in Irvine or LA, but there's also the need for just overall support for talent in the UCR, Cal Baptist, and local universities to really feed in, just as Mr. Bournes has done here right in Riverside. So making sure that all that is taken care of for the industrial park. There's also at the same time a need to just support the business owners and education to help with some of the startups that are coming out of the ecosystem as well. So not only making sure that they're streamlining, but making sure that there's support for the younger generation to develop. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Torres.
Thank you. Thank you for this question. I'm actually very proud to be supported by the Inland Empire business community and a political action committee. And the reason that I'm excited to be supported is because for the last 8 years, I have mitigated phone calls and problems that have come from our development community when it comes to water infrastructure. We all know that in order to develop, you start at water, right? And so I get phone calls constantly on, hey, how do I get through? I get through to this? It's always my response, let's just sit down and talk. But in a city that's moving and growing as quickly as Riverside, we don't have time to bury through this red tape. I think streamlining and working towards being a business-friendly city is the best way to meet that growth and meet the moment that Riverside is in. One of the things that we see here in the Hunter industrial area is that there's a lot of opportunity, not just for business, but for residents to thrive and create jobs and have places to live and enjoy as a community. And so I would love to be a partner with this chamber in order to make sure that we're growing smart and we're growing quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vahl.
One of the first problems is building new buildings. A very good friend of ours, my wife's and mine, built the two buildings that are just right over on Marlboro, next to the railroad tracks. They bought that plan and submitted plans, and it took them 3 years till they could put a shovel in the ground. So they had lots and lots of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars tied up before they could even start construction. Her father built most of the buildings on the top of Marlboro, and none of those took anywhere even close to a year to be started. So that's one of our problems, is that the planning office is just ridiculously slow. The second is just the fees that they charge. I was at the Magnolia Center Exchange Club a couple months ago, and I was talking to some retired apartment developers who've retired in the last couple of years, because they said now with the city, for them to build an apartment complex, fees and stuff with the city, they're in the 75 grand before they start putting down 1 2x4. So the city's not helping, as I stated in my opening, that the city needs to be more business friendly. And if we can start working on those problems, that will attract more businesses and generate more sales tax revenue, which will help our revenue problem with the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ayra. Absolutely. And at any time, if anyone needs me to review a question, just let me know. So the question is, Hunter Industrial Park is home to many innovative businesses. What do you believe is the largest impediment to new investment and development in Riverside? And what would you do to overcome this obstacle?
Sure, I'll try to answer that in 90 seconds. Talked to a lot of business owners in this ward and across the city, and there's numerous impediments to getting business off the ground. Everything from permitting and the costs for starting a business here in the city, to the on-ramp time that it takes to actually get something off the ground, to even, as someone else mentioned, development. We have a process here in the city that, although it has been streamlined quite a bit in recent years, is still far behind cities that can push through projects quickly, efficiently, avoid some of the lengthy review processes that encumber these projects. In addition to that, one of the other things is that we have a loss of human capital. I saw that firsthand when so many of my friends chose to leave Riverside after graduating, because the amenities were not there, the job opportunities were not there, and the pipelines were not developed enough to retain the human capital in this city. That human capital is what attracts large corporations, big companies to want to invest in this city. In addition to that, I want to talk about a few other things, because I think homelessness and public safety is something that businesses consider as well when they make an investment in a district, and the amenities that come with that too. The city has tried and been somewhat unsuccessful, I think, with homelessness, and there's a few different options we can try there. But in addition to that, I really want to develop the amenities so that people choose Riverside and to spend their dollars here instead of going to Redlands or Newport or Los Angeles for their entertainment and their retail and everything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Florez.
Well, as you can hear, there is a pretty solid consensus among us all that the city is the problem with overregulation, overtaxation. The permitting process is far too slow, which costs more money for businesses to start up and thrive here. How are we going to fix that? Well, first, I think that there should be an overhaul of the regulation permitting process to ensure that it is streamlined. As Mike Vahl was saying, that it takes anywhere from over a year to up to 3 years to get a project started, costing hundreds of thousands of dollars before a shovel even hits the ground. that needs to be revamped and made certain that business owners can feel confident that this process will take a few months, not a few years. At the outside, the other thing is that we need to take a look at the power situation. Obviously, we have one main line onto the grid, and our power supply here in the city is rather limited. We need that second power supply system, so that way we can have the industries come inside Riverside and actually be able to produce the power. The infrastructure here has also been talked about, the roads, the freeways. I think that's an important thing to take a look at because that's a top priority. And lastly, also I agree, public safety. People need to know that their neighborhoods as well as their businesses are safe from fire, from homelessness, from crime. So we need to tackle all those things to make it more profitable here for businesses to thrive.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Now on to question number 3. University Avenue is a key corridor connecting UC Riverside and downtown, 2 of Riverside's most visible and vital anchors. If elected, what is your vision and plan to revitalize University Avenue in a way that improves safety and cleanliness, supports existing businesses, attracts new investment, increases tax revenue base, and improves quality of life for nearby residents? Ms. Torres, will begin with you.
That's a really good question. Thank you. I actually spent Valentine's Day at the Farmhouse Collective, which was a huge investment into Riverside, especially that corridor. Having grown up here, I remember when the university corridor, I was not allowed to drive there. My parents would rather I drive all the way down to Magnolia, go all the way across the city, and then come up before I drove up and down University. This city has done a phenomenal job turning that around. And our job as council people is to continue that work, making sure that we listen to public safety on how to address homelessness and how to keep our city clean. They're attracting new businesses. When new businesses decide to invest in the corridor, that we're thankful and that we invite them to continue to do so. That when we want to make sure that when we see any issues with our students, that we constantly use that area, that those things are addressed quickly. Partnering with the university is a great way to get started, but we also have to continue to attract the businesses like we have with Beverly Bailey to make sure that that corridor keeps expanding and keeps improving and progressing the way that I've seen in my life of it improving.
Great, thank you. Mr. Vahl.
The corridor project between downtown and UCR was started that was a Ron Lumbridge idea and the initiative that started, it was probably 25 years ago. And as Gracie said, the city has done a really good job of making that lot nicer because now you can drive down it at night and not be afraid. The city should also keep doing what it's doing. The council should support that and help. And this comes back to my prior point of the city being very business unfriendly with regulations and costs. If we could figure out how to get those fees down and be more user friendly to businesses, you would get more businesses that would want to start on University because that is a big thoroughfare in this city. From downtown, that's the main one, out of downtown. So that's what I believe is just get the city restructured to be more business friendly and keep doing what we're doing to help get that developed. And the development will then, just by the fact that there's so much traffic, will clean a lot of the undesirable things out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ayra.
Thank you. Folks mentioned driving down, try cycling down University Avenue as a college freshman because you had the grand idea of going to the Office Max on Vine Street to print a textbook. So that was an adventure. If anyone's seen The Warriors, it's pretty similar to that movie, getting back to Coney Island. But couple of big things. This University Avenue redevelopment is a huge priority for me, starting with the University Avenue specific plan. That plan hasn't been updated in years. It requires us to revisit it and especially address housing, which is along University Avenue. University Avenue is zoned R4 in many places. We have a real opportunity to bring in affordable housing and market rate housing along University Avenue. The biggest setback that I've seen when talking to folks is that there's a retail requirement that's involved for a lot of the developers, which they are not able to front the cost for that project. In addition to that, I want to bring back UNET, the University Neighborhood Engagement Team. That was a police program that was funded by UC Riverside and actually monitored the top part of University Avenue. It has been pretty bad after that program left a few years back. You now have the University Village spending $300,000 a year on private security, which is not a cost that we should be passing on to business. In addition to that, would love to look at public transportation options along University Avenue and also investing in some additional amenities and beautification of University Avenue. It is our main artery to downtown and should be the grand entrance into the city. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Torres.
Let me give you a couple specifics that might address the problem. First, I agree, we need to have a cut on the regulations and time to start businesses so that way they can minimize the upfront costs. But more specifically, once we do that, how are we going to make it look more beautiful, more inviting for businesses to come in? I would propose a community-oriented policing team in Ward 2 as a project to minimize crime in an area. A community-oriented policing team, you have 1 or 2 officers in a specific area. The businesses, the homeowners, everyone knows that cop. They have their email. In a non-emergency situation, they can call them up, email them, and let them know what the problems are. That's how they get the inside information to know that there are issues in specific areas by specific people. Then you start making arrests where necessary. You offer help by social services if appropriate. And slowly but surely, you will start to see that the elements that make it uninhabitable or unappealing to businesses will begin to fade away. Once that is a situation for businesses to see that it's more inviting, they will want to come because they're correct. That is an area of interest for businesses because it's a great thoroughfare that highlights the city.
Thank you. Yeah, Ms. Montero.
Evening. All right. So when it comes to the University Avenue, imagine students comfortably being able to walk all the way from UCR, make their way, enjoy some shops. Maybe they get to do some retail shopping, grab a bite to eat. It's not your Chick-fil-A, it's your mom and pop restaurant right on the corner, similar to a Habanero Grill, or a entertainment space that's family owned, like the Farmhouse Collective that she mentioned. The university is one of the heart arteries of Riverside. And it also has the connection between our youngest generation and the oldest part of Riverside. So making sure that not only is there rezoning that happens on that forefront of that University Avenue, because we do have some vacant lands that the city owns that they're trying to figure out what to do with right now because of how they're zoned. At the same time, there is a need to not only restructure, but renovate. Make it look a little bit nicer, but we need to make sure how we do that and how we spend that money and making sure it's what also the residents want. At the same time, I do agree that there does need to be more policing. Talking to some of the police officers, there has been a shortage in time for them to respond. So having the UNET, which has already been a proven program to work, to help to support some of that public safety burden that happens to the small business owners. And at the same time, making sure that the university not only becomes business full, but also small business owned as well. Thank you.
Thank you. That's not bad. All right, now on to question 4. Homelessness continues to be a major quality of life issue for residents and businesses. If elected, how would you seek to provide support to homeless Riverside residents without compromising broader community priorities? And Mr. Vahl will begin with you.
I would start with examining what are we spending money on now? As you know, or have heard, the state has spent tens of billions of dollars on homelessness. And when they did an audit to what did it do, nobody knew. Where to go? I don't know. It's gone. I haven't heard at the city asking any NGO that they give money to or that deals with that problem to come back and say, A, before you give it to them, what are you going to do with it? And B, when they come back to get the next year's allotment, say, well, what did you do? What are our results? So we can see if we're spending money wisely. It's just, okay, here's your check. We need to examine all the money that we're giving out for this. That's what accountability is all about. You want to make sure you're spending taxpayer money on something that is actually benefiting the taxpayers and not somebody's money that runs an NGO. So if we start with that, then we'll figure if those programs aren't working, then we'll go out and examine programs that will give us measurable results that they say that what they're going to do that we can measure against. And theoretically, over a couple of years, we would start curing the problem. Thank you.
Great, Trevor.
This is a great question, and I would like to summarize sort of my thoughts on this in 3 words. Beds, meds, and feds. So we need to build, most importantly, shelter space. I've done so many ride-alongs with the former Office of Homeless Solutions. When you're out there, the biggest issue is that our shelters are full and there are no beds to put people into, even when they do want to accept help, which is not always, but even when they do want to accept help, there's no shelter space to put them there. I would look into opportunities to quickly transition either vacant warehousing into shelter space or find opportunities to provide as many beds as possible so we have the space to actually put people. Meds, we need to invest in mental health and substance abuse clinics and facilities and do it regionally so that Riverside is not bearing the entire cost and the impact of housing folks in our city and dealing with those issues. And feds, that one is, I couldn't find a better word for that, but we do need to make sure that we are holding other cities and counties accountable for homeless dumping in the city of Riverside. This is a real issue. The chief of police is well aware of it. We need to dedicate resources to investigating where folks are being dropped off from and hold these cities and counties that are basically engaging in government-sponsored human trafficking into our city accountable. There are test cases for that for Santa Ana and the city of Orange, which went all the way up to the California Supreme Court. We can win back both funding and an injunction against the cities doing this to us. Thank you.
Mr. Florez.
I would agree that other cities dumping their homeless population as much as humanly possible is a major problem. That has been a tried and true method of lazy handling of the homeless in various cities. We need to make sure that that stops. I agree with you. The other thing is that we need to take a look at why people are homeless. We have to triage the situation. You have approximately 60 to 70%, depending on what study you look at, of the people that are homeless have mental health or drug addiction issues. How are we going to help them? The other percentage are people who have recently lost their jobs, those who are seniors who have fallen out of their ability to pay for their homes. How are we going to help them? And also women who are with children who may be in domestic violence situations. That 25, 35%, we can help almost immediately with housing and with some assistance. The other 70%, let's be realistic. That requires state and federal funding, but we need to take a look at putting the homeless in a situation where they can actually receive the mental health services and help, but they have to accept it. I have a brief situation where I had a gentleman who I had medical care for him. I had housing for him. He was a veteran. He decided he wanted to die instead, and he did. You have to have them consent to it. Wish there was more time for that issue.
So the concern of quality of life is a hard one. And that's because we all have a different preference of what quality of life means. There is a homelessness issue. With that $100 million project that we've had, it wasn't a lack of compassion, it was a lack of process. Making sure that as we continue forward and making sure that these projects include everybody that's impacted, not at the end, but in the beginning. At the same time, when it comes to quality of life, it's not just making sure that our residents are safe, but it's also making sure that the families that choose to go outside to enjoy the amenities that we continue to build within the city for our families, they can enjoy it in a safe environment. So it's also making sure that we have the 84 firefighters, we have the police that have the support. And when it comes to the homelessness projects, it's making sure that we involve the people that are directly impacted. So a lot of the business owners that are around different areas that we choose to have affordable projects in, it's important to involve them in the beginning of the process, to give them more of a say, to treat folks like partners in development within the city versus just a taxpayer or somebody who pays to enjoy those services. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Torres.
Thank you. This is a great question. So homelessness is not an issue that is going to be solved by one person. It's going to take a team effort. I think Mr. Bornstein talked about teams. It's going to take a team effort and a regional approach to doing so. Other cities have built up their warehouse capacity, their bedding capacity, and we need to partner with them in order to solve this issue. I'm very proud to have the support of most of the city council, most regional leaders across the Inland Empire, because we know that in order to solve this, it's going to take a team. And that team includes public safety officers and mental health professionals. And so with all of those components, in order to solve homelessness, we have to really look at what we have spent so far. And this is the analogy that I always use for this issue. The Salton Sea, there's been billions of dollars poured into the Salton Sea, billions. 90% of it goes to administration of the Salton Sea, creating reports, doing studies, and that is what we're seeing in this issue. Billions have been poured in. How do we better administer the money and the investment that we're going into solving this issue so that we can compassionately deal with it?
Thank you, Ms. Torres. And now on to our final question. UCR is a key regional resource, producing high-quality graduates every year and attracting business from around the globe. How would you work to keep graduates in Riverside and advance the partnership between UCR and the city? Mr. Ayra, we'll begin with you.
Pick this question. This is a great one. So, as a UCR graduate myself, as someone who chose to stay here, the primary focus for retaining graduates has to be in a couple of key areas. One is just the affordability of being able to actually live here and to foreseeably settle down here, transitioning our graduates from renters to homeowners at some point in time. Or graduates can't afford to buy a home in the city, it's likely that they will ever settle down. In addition to that, we need to have those high quality jobs that we've talked about in the city at places like Carb, at Oasis, at the new UCR Health Campus that we're expanding in the Canyon Springs Marketplace. Really looking to retain the graduates that are going to stay, to invest, and to find ways to actually retain them with the way that we've done with the UCR Health Center, or with the UCR Health Campus, where graduates commit to staying for 5 years in the city of Riverside. In addition to that, we need to develop our amenities. We're lagging behind in a lot of areas to have those amenities, and those amenities need to be equitably distributed across the city of Riverside. I love downtown as much as the next person, but downtown is not the only place for development and for businesses and for retail in the city of Riverside. We need to spread those resources out to places like University Village, to the Canyon Crest Marketplace, Town Center, and find ways to really create those opportunities where people want to stay, spend their money, invest in the city of Riverside. The graduates will only stay in areas where they have jobs and they can afford to actually live. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Florez.
I agree. The people who want to stay after graduating, they have to have an affordable housing and they have to have a company or business that can provide for them to raise a family and to buy a home. If we can't create additional jobs by cutting regulation, making our infrastructure more appealing for people to stay and businesses to open, they're not going to want to stay here. I think the attraction of additional businesses from overregulated cities like Los Angeles, where a median cost of a home is $1 million. Our median cost for a home in Riverside is $655,000. I think we can start attracting people here if we can attract the businesses to be here. I think we can work hand in hand with the city and these businesses to ensure that the business climate is absolutely perfect to open up a business here, and then the people will stay.
Okay, let's let the
Workforce development and developing the pipeline from UCR, Cal Baptist, Cal State San Bernardino isn't just about providing good jobs. As a startup co-founder, it's hard to start a business, let alone to have it survive past the 5-year mark. Not only is it hard because as a business owner, you have to find the revenue to support the salary that you want to pay that's livable, but you have to have management and a whole program that actually caters to the younger individuals, to educate them, to develop them while they're continuing to develop in their own careers. So it's making sure that there's internship programs along the way while these students are still at university, whether they're in their junior year, their senior year, their sophomore year. I've developed internship programs for a lot of different startups, and that's because playing on local talent, and there's people who need that opportunity, and the students need it more than ever. But it's also attracting those businesses that can come and support those students in tech, in science and STEM and engineering. And it's making sure that those companies come in so they can actually have the career forward path for the students that we're creating right out of our own ecosystem here in Riverside. We don't want to keep losing them to Orange County or LA. We want to keep them right here at home. So I think first making sure there's internship programs developed for all businesses, and also making sure that there's a direct support pipeline of educational development for the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Torres.
Thanks for this question. I'm actually very proud of the work that we've done at Western Municipal Water Districts and other water agencies where we've created a water workforce development pipeline. At most water districts here in the Inland Empire, our workforce comes from outside of the Inland Empire. They don't come from home. So we need to create programs that where our students are able to graduate or look at graduation and know that they can be placed at a career here in Riverside. And I've done that work, right? Also, we create incentives for our students to stay. I'm a benefactor of a STEM scholarship. And the reason I did that is because I want more women in STEM, but I also want kids to say, I'll do STEM here in Riverside if I can find the opportunity to do so. And that is why for the last 8 years, my number one priority has been job creation. I have an 18-year-old going into this job market, and I want nothing more than for her to stay here, raise my grandkids here, and that's only going to happen for the rest of the city. When we create jobs, we create opportunities so that they can live, thrive, and retire here.
Thank you. Mr. Vahl.
I think that the chamber can help promote some of that. Work with the businesses. The chamber's got hundreds of members in the city, and a lot of them need new workers on an annual basis. Start working with internships at colleges. We've got 3 of them right here, 4 counting RCC. And if you get people into your company as an intern, I have lots of friends that have started as an intern and got hired by the company after graduation and stayed there for a number of years. That would be one great start. Perhaps if the student is really really with it. The company can offer them a scholarship with some kind of a 3-year work guarantee or something. Back to the homeless or the housing issue, how housing in the Inland Empire in Riverside is much cheaper than Orange County. And way cheaper than the beach, anywhere from San Clemente up to Malibu. So the living here cheaper is a great incentive because you're only an hour from the beach. If you want to go, or you're an hour from the mountains, which is why Riverside is such a great place. You're an hour from the desert. So all this neat stuff is close by. So if we could get the businesses to help with some internships, that would get people used to working in Riverside, which would go a long way to getting people to stay working in Riverside.
Thank you. This completes the question and answer segment of our forum. We will now have each of our candidates give a 90-second closing statement. This time, we will have our closing statements in reverse order. So we're going to start with you, Mr. Vahl. Passing the mic back.
Thank you, Angel. Angel and I go back to high school football days with our kids. Anyway, as I would like to say that I really want to be on the city council to help improve life in Riverside. I've lived here for 35 years, as I stated earlier. Riverside's my home. I've run my business here. We need to get Riverside, some of these issues we've spoken to today need to be addressed and solved so that we can make it better for everybody. I've got 35 years of business experience. I was 25 years at Canyon Lake. I was the IT director as well as the accounting manager and controller. So I've got lots of experience. I'm a CFO for a company in Seattle today. I would like to thank everybody for coming this morning. I'd like to thank Mr. Borns for hosting us and Angel for moderating. And the last thing I'd like to say is that I have lots of business experience. Like I said, 38 years. We need some of that on the council because we got not a lot of it today. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Torres.
Again, thank you so much for hosting. Thank you for having us this morning. I was glad to be here, especially when my brain is at its least foggiest. But no, really, I'm happy to be here. I'm running for city council because this is my home. This is where I'm raising my 3 kids. This is where my parents raised me. This city has taken care of us, and I want the city to take care of you. I'm here because in the last 8 years, I haven't forgotten who I serve. And that is the businesses, the residents of this city. In the last 8 years, I've made promises, and I'm proud to say that I have kept those promises. I'm the only one up here who has experience actually getting things done. I also have the support of the mayor and the majority of the council. So I'll be ready to get started on day one. I'll be ready to go on day one. I tell my team, I tell my family, I can't wait. Because I just want to get to work tomorrow. I want to get to work tomorrow. And I can do that with your partnership. So I hope that you'll look me up. You can find me at gracietorres.com and that I can earn your support so that we can finish the job and get a city that works for you and takes care of you.
Thank you. Ms. Montero.
Thank you, everybody, for having me. I'm not just running to represent the neighborhood. I'm running to represent our ward, which is the economic engine for growth in our city. I'm here because I would love your support, not only as a resident, but I am a non-politician candidate, a tech entrepreneur who has built from the ground up. I've built software companies, marketing agencies, and I helped business owners to actually grow multi-generationally, to help them scale. So I am your candidate that will help Riverside to continue to grow and grow smart with responsibility, fiscal transparency, and making sure that there's constant communication between residents, business owners, and the city, and making sure that the city works for you and not the other way around. Thank you, Christen Montero, voteChristen.com.
Thank you. Mr. Florez.
Thank you for this forum. Appreciate the time. All due respect to Gracie, I am also a person who gets things done. In the 28 years in law enforcement, you're required to get things done, to fix things, to ensure that the public safety is number one on your agenda. If not, your career is over. I had a very successful career. The other thing is that I'm not a professional politician. This is my first time running for elected office. I'm here because I want to make a difference for Ward 2. It's very obvious that things have deteriorated a little bit with the homeless issue, with budgeting issues. The city is not adhering to, or correction, is not listening to the people and carrying out what they want in the city, or it doesn't feel that way. I want to ensure that when you speak, when the businesses speak, that you are heard. It's my job to ensure that the businesses and the people here are as successful as humanly possible. I get things done. I always have, and I always will. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Mr. Evans.
Bring us home. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here, to the chamber, to Mr. Borns for hosting us. This is an incredible opportunity to share our platforms with folks. I am running for city council because I want to create the kind of Riverside that welcomed me with open arms when I came here 12 years ago as a student. I want to create a Riverside that is affordable, or create a Riverside that actually supports our small businesses, that reduces the fees for small businesses and reduces the permitting and the on-ramps and makes it difficult to do business in the city of Riverside. I want to create the kind of Riverside that folks want to move to, not just because it's cheaper, but because it's a destination spot to move to. I've served in this district as a public servant, not as a politician, for the last 12 years, across 2 commissions, across the Riverside Neighborhood Partnership, across the UCR Alumni Board of Directors, and many other different organizations. And I have invested a lot of unpaid time in improving the city because I live here. I love this city. I want to create the kind of city that folks want to also love. We need to extend that kind of Riverside pride to all the newcomers that we're bringing in who want to start businesses, who want to buy homes, who want to settle down in Riverside. So fighting to make Riverside a more affordable place to live for the folks who have been here for a long time and for the people that want to move here. You can find me at iraforriverside.com or out in your neighborhood knocking on your doors. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. This completes the formal portion of our candidate forum for Riverside City Council Ward 2. Candidates, I want to thank you for joining us today. We appreciate hearing about your vision for Ward 2 as well as for the entire city of Riverside. Let's give them a round of applause. Now, the motion